Let's do the last 2 chapters of Deuteronomy.
Yay!
Moses' blessing for the children of Israel, chapter Deuteronomy 33. Huh?
For the tribes, not the children of Israel.
Oh, tribes and children, the whole 9 yards.
Fair point.
Go for it.
Dear kind and gracious Heavenly Father, we thank Thee for this day. We thank Thee for the beautiful sun that is out today. We thank Thee for the ability to wake up this morning. We thank Thee for the food that Thou hast given us. And we thank Thee for the joy of being together. Please bless us to learn something new and to have a good rest of our day. Safe travels and strength wherever we need to go. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Alrighty. Chapter 33, Moses blesses the tribes of Israel. Levi is blessed to teach the Lord's judgments and his laws. Joseph is blessed above all. The Lord will gather Israel in the latter days. Israel will triumph.
And this is the blessing wherewith Moses, the man of God, blessed the children of Israel before his death.
Or translation, as we now understand. And he said, the Lord came from Sinai and rose up from Seir unto them. And he shined, or shone? Shined forth from Mount Paran. And he came with 10,000s of saints. From his right hand went a fiery law for them.
Yea, he loved the people. All his saints are in thy hand, and they sat down at thy feet. Every one shall receive of thy words.
Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob.
And he was king in Jerusalem when the heads of the people and the tribes of Israel were gathered together. Let Reuben live and not die, and let not his men be few.
He was king in Jeshurun. He was a king in Egypt? That's an interesting one. Whatever. Reuben. And this is the blessing of Judah. Okay. And he said, hear, Lord, the voice of Judah, and bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him. We're going to do a blessing for each of the tribes. Oh, that's why. It's not a general blessing, it's a blessing for each of the tribes.
Makes sense.
And bring him unto his people. Bring him unto his people. Let his hands be sufficient for him, and be thou an help to him from his enemies.
And of Levi he said, let thy Thummim and thy Urim be with thy Holy One, whom thou didst prove at Manasseh, and with whom thou didst strive in the waters of Meribah. Okay.
Prove at Massa, not Manasseh.
My bad.
Yeah, no huge deal there. Just a couple of letters, and doesn't mean anything. It's just a hugely different place, and it's not a person, so, details. Who said unto his father and to his mother, I have not seen him, neither did he acknowledge, said of his father. Hebrew, who said of his father and to his mother, I have not seen him, I regard them not. Neither did he acknowledge his brethren, nor knew his own children, for they have observed thy word and kept thy covenant.
They shall teach Jacob thy judgments, and Israel thy law, and they shall put incense before thee, and whole burnt sacrifice upon thine altar.
Interesting. Bless, Lord, his substance, and accept the work of his hands. Smite through the loins of them that rise against him, and of them that hate him, that they rise not again. Oh, by the way, I looked up whet for W-H-E-T, and it is kind of in reference to a whetstone to sharpen a knife with.
Oh yeah.
Among some other stuff, but just that was one of the most, I think, definitions.
In FF14, there's a whole lot of different types of whetstones that you can use, and you use them to polish various tools or gemstones, even.
I had never thought of the fact that it can be spelled with the WH for that. So, anyhow, 12.
And of Benjamin he said, the beloved of the Lord shall dwell in safety by him, and the Lord shall cover him all the day long, and he shall dwell between his shoulders.
Interesting. I wonder what the significance of between the shoulders. Does that have to do with carrying them, or does that have to do with
2 mountains.
or the heart is between the shoulders, in his heart?
Something, maybe.
And of Joseph he said, "Blessed of the Lord be his hand."
Land.
Well, kind of the same thing, but in this case, land. For the precious things of heaven, for the dew, and for the deep that coucheth beneath.
They didn't have couches back then.
A reference to the Book of Mormon, and
At least what we have.
well, yeah, coucheth beneath also can mean sets up a stable place to lay on, kind of a thing, or to build from.
And for the precious fruits brought forth by the sun, and for the precious things put forth by the moon.
And for the chief things of the ancient mountains, and for the precious things of the lasting hills, the everlasting hills.
And for the precious things of the earth, and the fullness thereof, and for the good will of him that dwelt in the bush, let the blessing come upon the head of Joseph, and upon the top of the head of him that was separated from his brethren.
His glory is like the firstling of his bullock, and his horns are like the horns of unicorns. With them shall he push the people together to the ends of the earth. And they are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and they are the thousands of Manasseh.
And of Zebulun he said, Rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out, and Issachar in thy tents.
Interesting. Unicorns is also Hebrew, the wild ox. So would that be the GNU, GNU?
No idea, but it's still fun to think of fantasy unicorns, though.
Oh, heck yeah. Did you watch any of that movie I shared, The Last Unicorn?
I have seen clips of it, so I understand the basic premises.
Yeah, it's a neat story, and it's not really scary because it's a G-rated movie, so,
The animation itself at times can be very spooky. And sometimes the context can be spooky. If you don't let us go, this person's going to get free eventually and gouge your eyes out and eat you alive.
The harpy?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't show anything nasty.
Sure, they didn't show it, but she worded it very descriptively in imagery in your head. That's still spooky. I don't care if they don't draw it out.
When you're dealing with a beast of evil, which is a harpy, which is what a harpy is, and whatever.
At least in that movie.
Yeah, it is a neat movie. It's got a really, really neat ending that just is so thought-provoking. They shall call the people unto the mountain. They shall offer sacrifices of righteousness. For they shall suck of the abundance of the seas, and of treasures hid in the sand.
Hid in the sand.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
I
can't speak today.
No. It's your turn. And of Gad he said, Blessed be he that enlargeth Gad. He dwelleth as a lion, and teareth the arm with the crown of the head. Ow.
As well as... Ooh, so they're not just going to... hit you on the arm to slow you down. They're going to pound you on the head to really shut you down.
Bonk.
Yeah. And he provided the first part for himself, because there in a portion of the lawgiver was he seated. In a portion of the lawgiver? Hey, what's that? Well, that's what we're going to get into next. I don't know. And he came with, or to, the Hebrew is to, so he came to the heads of the people. He executed the justice of the Lord and his judgments with Israel.
And of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp. He shall leap from Bashan.
And of Naphtali he said, O Naphtali, satisfied with favor and full with the blessing of the Lord, possess thou the west and the south, or the Sea of Galilee as inheritance.
And of Asher he said, Let Asher be blessed with children. Let him be acceptable to his brethren, and let him dip his foot in oil.
The shoes shall be iron, thy shoes shall be iron, and brass. And as thy bless you.
Sorry.
And as thy days, so shall thy strength be. I about said so shall.
There is none like unto the God of Jerusalem. Jershon, sorry. Who
Jeshurun.
Excuse me. I'm
Either
getting
way.
the morning burps.
Yeah, well, it happens.
Who rideth upon the heaven in thy help, and in his excellency on the sky.
Majesty through the sky. God of Jeshurun. Hebrew, the upright or righteous. Huh. The God of Jeshurun. Interesting. And in 25, thy shoes or bars, the locks. So you'll be strong against things breaking you or breaking into wherever you are. The eternal God. Okay, my phone just decided to lock up. There you go. The eternal God is thy refuge, and underneath are the everlasting arms, and he shall thrust out the enemy from before thee, and shall say, destroy them.
Israel then shall dwell in safety alone. The fountain of Jacob shall be upon a land of corn and wine, and also his heavens shall drop down dew.
Interesting that dew is described as dropping when it really just kind of settles and forms.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Well, back in the day, they probably felt it fell because it may have...
To an extent, either way.
There's also the fact that as the weight of the water gets on the leaf, it eventually drips off.
True, yeah. Happy art thou, O Israel. Not comically, just they have blessings and good things. Who is like unto thee, O people saved by the Lord, the shield of thy help? And who is the sword of thy excellency? Victory and triumph. And thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee, shall diminish before thee. That's an interesting change. That's the Hebrew. And thou shalt tread upon their high places. So high places meaning the places of worship. What was that? Oh, I bet you it's our neighbor moving his truck, banging the back door gate. Anyhow, 7 children. Yeah, this was okay. That's the end of 33. Quite an interesting set of blessings. A lot of good.
Oh, the next one's super short.
You want to do it?
Yeah, it's only 12 verses.
Yeah, okay.
Before we do continue, though, finish your thought.
A lot of good and hopeful and wonderful blessings in comparison to the last 3 chapters of you're gonna die in horrible ways, which is really awesome to have. But
yeah,
you know,
gotta have the good with the bad.
Yeah, true. So really great to see that there are some wonderful promises and blessings. So let's finish this up with Moses seeing the land. Shall we just sleep then?
Sorry, I'm tired.
Yeah. All right. Chapter 34.
Moses sees the promised land and is taken by the Lord. Joshua leads Israel. Moses was Israel's greatest prophet. No kidding.
You know, I hate to knock that statement at all, but I think there's a bit of bias there. You know?
Fair.
I'm not going to say he wasn't a great prophet, but greatest, I mean...
They're probably saying great as in he did the most physically.
Maybe. Isaiah was the greatest prophet in that he wrote down some of the greatest prophecies. You know, we could go through every prophet. David was the greatest prophet because he led Israel to many victories.
And he was mostly perfect except for one
Well, yeah,
lady.
we can ignore that. But, you know, in the statements of who is the greatest, what's the bar that you're doing? Are you doing this one or that one or this one or that? You know, not knocking Moses. He was a great guy, but...
Jonah was the greatest prophet because he learned a good bit.
Yeah, you know, and he probably, honestly, if you really look at it, he probably told his story and then said, and now that I'm older and wiser, I can look back and these are the things I learned. That honestly, they created an entire grave to him. So what bar are they working on? And yes, Moses did a lot of wonderful things. I'm not going to say that he wasn't.
But what is their level of bias?
Yeah. And Moses went up from the plains of Moab unto the mountain of Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, that is over against Jericho, opposite of Jericho. Oh, that's an interesting way of putting it. It's almost a military statement. We're over and we're against, so we're facing, stuff like that. Just an interesting way to put it. Mm-hmm. And the Lord showed him all the land of Gilead unto Dan. So Moses climbs the mountain Nebo to the top of Pisgah. He came over here and stood over where the tower is.
Cell phone tower, to be specific.
No. The News 13.
Oh,
Channel 13 broadcast tower is on top of Pisgah.
Oh, did not know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, we have Pisgah here?
Yeah.
And then there's Pisgah in the scriptures?
Right.
The high school is called Pisgah.
Right. This area is called Pisgah because of Pisgah Mountain. Or some areas.
Oh my gosh, are we in the same spot Moses was in?
Yeah,
That's my joke.
Yeah, he just has teleportation technology.
Yeah. I mean, he just showed up over here and said, "Ooh, this looks beautiful," and then he got zapped back to the desert, and wow, it's so dry out here.
Oh dear.
Number 2.
Well, rabbits do air conditioning in the desert, so.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah, unto the utmost sea, the Mediterranean. So that was, I guess Israel is kind of short, narrow as that is. So if he was on top of a tall enough mountain, he could have seen.
And if it was a clear enough day.
True.
And depending on how good his eyesight is.
No. We went to. It was a beautiful, clear day out in the desert. The crud. What are they? The mountain dwellers that built their houses in the rocks, in the cliffs, out in I don't remember where it is. Out west, wherever it is. I don't remember the name. Dang it! But it was a beautiful, clear day, and we were in the visitor center on top of the hill. Right above all of the...
What state is this in?
I want to say it was Arizona or Utah, whatever it was. And we were looking out, and there were these 3 mountains that were sticking out, almost perfectly spaced. It was really quite a symmetrical and beautiful thing. And one of the rangers came over and said, "How far away do you think those are?" And we were like, 5 or 10 miles. Nope. Longer? Yep. 20, 10 to 15? And he was like, "Nope." Okay, how far out are they? The first one's 20 miles, the second one's 40 miles, the third one's 60 miles. And it was like, they just feel like they're, far away from me as here to the wall, It was crazy. It was so, because we were up on a very, very high mountain, easily 200 or 300 feet off the floor of the desert, maybe more, I don't know. But it was just, wait a minute. We're looking out easily 60 miles, and it's easily 2 to 3 times that far to the horizon.
I think it was Arizona because Utah doesn't have a desert.
Utah.
Utah is a desert.
It is.
I didn't know that far.
Everything east of the Rocky Mountains and west of the Mississippi. Well, I can't say that because there's a lot of not dry once you get past halfway over. But
to a point, there is a lot of desert over
middle of Texas, middle to eastern edge of Texas, and basically straight north all the way to the Rocky Mountains. It's incredibly dry.
Oh dear.
Yes.
I'm glad I'm not there right now. My throat would get so sore.
Very possibly. But, it's beautiful for what it is, but it's very dry. Okay, 2 still. And
you finished the 2. Asked me for do 3. You said unto the outmost sea.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And the south in the plain of the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees unto Zor.
Negev? and the south, Negev.
Great, it's got chaotic.
And the Lord said unto him, This is the land which I swear unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob. Was it the Naz purse? Anyhow. Saying, I will give it unto thy seed. I have caused thee to see it with thine eyes, but thou shalt not go over thither.
So Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab, according to the word of the Lord.
He was translated because he needed to have a physical body in order to lay his hands on Jesus and give him the keys.
Wait, what?
Yeah, at the Mount of Transfiguration.
Later. It's something later. We do not know what
much
that
later.
is later.
He lays his hands on Jesus and gives him the keys of the gathering of Israel and some other stuff.
I don't know if you mean Jesus, but okay.
Yeah, at the Mount of Transfiguration, Jesus was translated and he received many different keys and blessings and other stuff. And God, pronouns, and he buried him. Pronouns. I hate pronouns in the Bible.
Wait, you kind of lost me. What happened to Moses?
He died.
He is no longer on the earth.
I thought he went to the mountain and the God carried him up to heaven that way.
That's what she thinks whenever you say translated.
That's Elijah, but yes and no. So we're just saying God hid his body away in the valley of Moab over against Beth Peor, but no man knoweth of his sepulchre to this day, or the place of his burial, because he isn't dead.
And Moses was 120 years old when he died, and his eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated.
Dang. Can you imagine? He was still hauling around as strong as a 20 or 30-year-old.
That would be impressive.
Yeah, it would. Anything over 60 and you're doing that. Heck, I'm slowing down and I'm not even half that age.
I still think you're 36.
Whatever. I'll take 29 in holding, so we'll just go with that. And the children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of weeping and mourning for Moses were ended. I just love edits in books. We mourned for 30 days and we're done.
And Joshua, the son of Nun, was full of the spirit of wisdom, for Moses had laid his hands upon him, and the children of Israel hearkened unto him, and did as the Lord commanded Moses.
And there arose not a prophet since in Israel like unto Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face.
That makes some sense for greatness.
Yes, but you can't.
God with your own eyes, you're dead.
If you have not been raised to a spiritual level to be able to withstand it. In all the signs and the wonders which the Lord sent him to do in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh and to all his servants and to all his land.
And in all that mighty hand, and in all the great terror which Moses showed in the sight of all Israel.
All the power and the terror is also mighty acts. So great and amazing things. So yes, Moses was a great prophet, and he received many great things, but I gotta say, Isaiah probably saw Jesus face to face, and there have been other prophets who have an incredibly good chance of having seen God.
Well, he had something better than being a prince in his older age. He had riches as a prince, but as an older man, as a prophet, he got something way better.
Yep.
Left when Satan told Jesus, I can give you all this gold and you'll be happy if you worship me. No, he chose God, and that's good that Moses chose God too, better than riches.
Yep.
I'm proud of him.
He was a great person, and
Good man.
Ow, I got a
yes.
pain in my head.
So many awesome and wonderful things happened because of Moses, and he was brought to God and lived without having died, which is a really amazing, wonderful promise.
I don't fully understand.
Later.
His physical body was changed into an immortal body without his spirit having to leave the body and die.
Oh.
Yes. That's what it means to be translated, so that you don't have your physical body and your spirit separated. You are together from birth.
So no one knows what actually happened to his body because they think he's dead, but he's not?
Basically.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
No one knows what happened to him, and so they just went, well, he's dead, but God took him, so who knows? So,
Who knows who was translated to write this?
Somebody else did.
somebody wrote down the oral history, or else they copied writings, and
But who wrote that moment?
Joshua probably.
He saw it?
No, he didn't need to. He just
He
said,
was told.
yeah, he was told, and he said, you know what? He's passed on, and we don't know where he is, so we're going to say that
told
God took
right?
him.
God told him.
Of course.
More than likely.
Yes.
Nobody else could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you got a point there.
Alrighty. So, tomorrow, we get into Joshua, the battle of... Or just Joshua, you know. So,
See
we'll
you
see you
then.
then. Bye.
Bye.